Hello there. Thank you for joining us today. Boy, do we have excitement for you. Get ready. We're going to tell you a little about your past, a little about your present, and we're going to take you into the future. Our guest today is none other than Poo Poo Man Anderson. Thank you for joining Happy and Better.TV.
Miss Wonderful. That's what I call you, Judge Wonderful. Miss Angel, how are you, darling?
Just wonderful. Just so honored and glad to have you with us today.
I'm excited about being here with you.
Now, you have been in the entertainment business for a number of years. How did you get started? Since you were 3.
Right, 3.
And what happened at 3?
I used to entertain for my parents used to have, back in those days, they used to have social clubs. And they'd have Saturday parties at different one of those members of the club's homes. And when they'd come over to my mom's house, I was just the clown. I was just so they'd throw money on the floor for me to dance and sing. But my aunt, God bless her, named Aunt Bessie, she said, okay, that's enough. Turn the radio off. And I just kept on singing. She said, what did I say, turn the radio off? I said, Bessie, it's not the radio, it's me. That's when they found out, say, the kids got something, let him go.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it ever since. So I was 3 years old, going around to different houses, singing for the social club parties. And next thing I knew, I went to a department store's Christmas party back home in St. Louis, Missouri. Oh. And a lady by the name of Charlotte Peters, she had a talk show that she was the Oprah of its era back in the day. And she said, can anybody sing White Christmas? And I raised my hand. And she said, well, that means she thought I was going to sing like a little kid. I took there and laid it out. They said, whoa. Next thing I knew, next week, I was on television.
Oh.
I was on TV singing White Christmas. And from then on, I've been rolling.
Okay. You were even at the Apollo?
I played the Apollo about 2 dozen times.
Right.
Yes, I played the Apollo recently. And I played it as a child. I played it when I first got the service. I played the Apollo as Gene Anderson, and along with some other groups. And I cut my first record with Ike and Tina Turner.
Is that right?
My first record was, I sung background on a song called "You're Just a Fool, You Know You're in Love." Yeah, I sung the background on that record. And from there, I was record prone. I started cutting records. Next thing I knew, I had my own record. And then everything's changed. All my friends started looking at me different. You
mean when you made your own record?
Right. I knew Bam, I got #1 record back in my hometown, right? And all of a sudden, the guys I grew up with was looking at me different, and the girls was looking at me different, and people was inviting me over to different things, and I didn't know they was getting paid, charging for me to come. So I'm over there singing, doing shows. So one night I was singing, and I didn't sing. And a guy walked up to me and said, man, I paid $5 to come in here, and you ain't gonna sing nothing tonight. What's wrong with you? I said, well, hey, man, I ain't booked over here. I'm just doing it. He said, no, they've been selling tickets on you for 2 years.
You were the entertainment.
Yeah,
you thought you were just a guest.
I thought I was just a guy showing up. They've been selling tickets on me for 2 years. I've been going out that place, singing, sitting in every now and then. But when I showed up, they'd sell tickets and knew I was coming. They would call me. I never thought about that. And that's when I woke up. Mm-hmm. That's when I woke up.
You had
I had a great childhood life. My childhood was fantastic.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I went to the movies every day.
Every day?
Every day. I lived in the back of a theater. And back in those days, they didn't have air conditions. They just opened the back door and had the little Casablanca fans.
Oh.
And every night about 5:30 in the evening, we go out my backyard, sneak right down the back steps, and sit on the front row. And they knew we was doing it. So I saw every movie. That's why I got so entertainment orientated. I saw all the download kind of movies, the Fred Astaire. I was dancing Strangers in the Night. I was oh man, I had a great, fantastic childhood.
I'll say, movies,
it's always
dancing,
been entertainment,
singing.
though.
Yeah, it's in you. It's a
class clown. Charlie Brown, class clown.
Oh, how was that in school with all those talents?
Well, I had a big problem with school because
Wasn't fast enough for one thing.
well, no, what it was, I had so much going on after school that it eventually was taking me away from school. I run off from school and I go and sing with some guys like my friend Alvin Cash. He was Alvin Cash and the Crawlers. He had a song called "It's Twine Time," big #1 record in the world.
Oh, okay.
#1. Matter of fact, he played Madison Square Garden with the Beatles when they came over from Liverpool.
Wow.
He opened the show for them. He took me off, and my mother was having frenzies, man. Like, boy, you know you gotta go to school. I'm saying, Mom, I'm going to school, playing hooky every day.
You're going past the school.
Past the school, going straight to get in the station wagon. We didn't have buses in the station wagon to go up to Joliet and to Centralia, Illinois to sing and come back, try to be back home before my mom get off from work. That didn't work.
Oh, it's a rough world, but
I finally did graduate. What made me graduate was that all of a sudden everybody in my band was going to college but me. They was taking up music and everybody it's my band, but everybody is smarter than me. I said, wait a minute, this ain't gonna work. So I was gonna go to college with them. They said, you can't come to college, you ain't graduated from high school yet. So what I decided to do, I started to stop everything. I went to day school and night school and summer school at the same time. And before you know it, my credits double up. And one day I said, Dad, I'm going to graduate from school. He said, man, why don't you stop lying? I said, for real, come to the graduation. He didn't want to believe me. Nobody wanted to believe because I've been doing it like it wasn't really just undercover. I was just doing it because I had my mind made up.
That's what it takes.
And he showed up and he bust out crying because I was really walking with cap and gown, walking down the aisle and got a diploma. He couldn't believe it. JudgeAngel could not believe it.
He said, well done, my son.
Yeah, he was happy about that.
So when did you start all the travel? I understand you've been to Europe, Asia.
Oh, well, a lot of that started when I was in the service. I got drafted. I was singing with Dizzy Gillespie. I was singing jazz. I sung jazz. First I was a street corner doo-wopper.
Okay.
I sang doo-wop on the street corners for like, till I was about 15, 16. Then somehow I kind of like outgrew that, I thought. And I saw a guy by the name of Rex Militant. He had a group called the High Fives. He was the neighborhood so much, Billy Eckstein. And he was singing stuff like, love for sale. Oh man, with the champagne glass and the cigarette holder. And I said, yes, that's me. So I wanted to be like Rex. So I learned a few Johnny Mathis songs, a few Sammy Davis songs. And one day he got too tipsy. I was in the club. I used to clean up the club and sit in the back because I was too young to be in the club. And he got too tipsy. He said, well, does anyone want to sing tonight? I don't really feel like it. And I raised my hand again, back like I did before. He said, come on, you call me Genie Boy. Yeah, Genie Boy. He's a real suave guy. Genie Boy, you come on up. And I got up there, and I rocked the house. When I rocked the house, the guy named Tony Taylor owned the club. He said, you hired Rex. Rex drunk all the time. You hired me. Before you knew it, I was singing bebop jazz. So a friend of mine named Fletcher Smith told me that Dizzy Gillespie and James Moody was coming to town and was playing at a club called Tony's. And he wanted to introduce me to Diz because I became very popular as a jazz singer or bebop singer because I was so young singing that type of music, but I could dance from looking at the movies.
Okay. So
I was singing stuff like that old black magic has you in his, and bah, 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 I'm dancing and moving to it like you just swallows in the movies in a little lounge, right? And I was drawing people, man, people was coming from everywhere to see me. So he introduced me to Dizzy Gillespie. And Dizzy Gillespie told me, say, every town I go in, there's a little guy like you. He said it differently, but we won't say it on TV. That little guy like you, talking about he can sing. I don't want to hear that. Get on out my face. That's what Dizzy Gillespie told me.
Yes.
I started to walk off and then something said, wait a minute. You can't let him get away with that. I turn around and say, let me tell you something, you old person. I'm probably better than you anyway. I say, all them guys on the bandstand with you, you've never seen them, know what they had, you didn't see them. I said, I don't want to see what you know it. So I got to walk away again. He said, come back here, you person. I came back and said, yeah, what you want? He said, if you got that much nerve to talk to me like that, you come back for the Saturday matinee. And if you can't sing, I'm gonna person again. And I said, you serious about that? He said, yeah, you come back Saturday matinee. Man, I went home and told everybody. I said, man, I was about to graduate. I was still in school. He said, I said, man, I'm finna sing with Dizzy Gillespie. He said, no, you're not. The whole town just about heard about it and showed up to see Lil Jean sing with Dizzy Gillespie and James Moody. My mom bought me one of those iridescent suits. You could have put your lipstick on it and shine so bright. Bought me one of those iridescent suits. And man, I got there and I think I sang On the Street Where You Live, and I sang Going Green Dolphin Street. That was one of his favorite songs.
How does that
go? Lover, one lucky day. Love, it came planning to stay. Green Dolphin Street supplied the setting. When I got through with him, he was like flabbergasted. He say, tell you what, you come back tonight. I went back that night. I put on the next suit my mama bought me. She had one of them suits that used to change colors. You turn like you turn this way, it turn orange. You turn this way, it turn gray. You turn to blue, green.
It was called an entertainment suit.
And whatever it was, it had a light bulb in it. Man, I got on it. I had my hair all processed, back had finger waves. You could have hit my pompadour was so high. You could have probably hit Easter eggs in it. Man, I got there and I sung. Oh, man. Oh, boy, I was the talk of the city. He said, listen, I want you to travel with me. I want you to go to Chicago with me. We was going to play a club called Mr. Kelly's in Chicago on Rush Street. I said, Dez, I can't go. I'm finna graduate from school. And my mom ain't having it.
Yeah.
So I missed that lick. Next thing I know, I graduated. As I told you about, I graduated. Next thing I knew, I was drafted. I went out of school 3 months. And I got a notice, greetings, a letter. I was in Chicago, got a letter, greetings. You're now drafted into the United States Army. Wait a minute. I just got out of school. They fighting Vietnam. Everybody's dying. I don't want to go to no army. I ended up going to the army. So me and a guy named Leon Fisher conned our way to the place where they give you the MOS, which is your activities that you're going to be performing in the service. Either you're going to be in communications, or you're going to be in espionage, or you're going to be just a warrior or whatever. We explained to them what my background was, and before you know it, I got a orders to go to Fort Jackson, South Carolina as an entertainment specialist in special service.
Wonderful.
Whoa, nobody believed that. Now I'm in the Army, I'm in special service. I'm in there with Bobby Rydell and Shirley Ellis. She had the record called Nana Nana, but family name game.
Yeah.
We all had, so we traveled all over the country and over in Europe and Vietnam, everywhere else singing.
Good.
But entertaining troops and other, they call that whatever they call it. Yeah, I was entertaining the troops, morale boosters.
Okay.
So we was doing that. Next thing I know, I got out the Army. I cut a record while I was in the Army called "Baby I Dig You," and another record called "What's Wrong with You, Girl" or something like that. And before you knew it, I had a #1 record in the Army. In the Army. Now, I'm having problems in the Army because I'm one of a kind. And
you wanted to get out.
Oh, I never wanted to go. Get out, to be honest. I never wanted to go. But anyway, next thing I knew, they were playing the record on every radio station. The record was sort of like a little pop between R&B pop, and it bust out big. And at 4:30 every evening, on the fort, they have something called retreat. You have to turn in the direction of the flag if you're not in front of it, and salute and be quiet. So on the entire fort, everybody, if you're driving a car, you're supposed to pull over.
Oh, okay.
You can hear for miles on the compound because that's retreat. Oh. And at that moment, at exactly 4:30 every day, the disc jockey would play my record. And you could hear me all over the fort. They would be so mad. Say, that's Private Anderson again. Say, I ain't got no control over that. The people on the radio playing the records. Now they got girls trying to come on the fort to see me, and they ain't supposed to be on the fort, and they causing havoc with the guards on the post because Gene Anderson is sitting there. Man, it was a mess. I finally got out the Army, and I got with a boy named Sam Gary, and we went on the road, and we had a record called For Your Love, I'll Do Anything.
Oh, and wait a minute. Sing that.
For your love, down, 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 down. Oh, I would do anything.
I remember that.
That was our record. Yeah,
that's a beautiful song.
Yeah, we had another Fly Me to the Moon. We had those two records.
Beautiful.
So we was on tour with the Temptations, the original Temptations, with David Ruffin and Paul was alive, then Melvin. We was on tour with the Temptations, Junior Walker, Mitty Collier, Smoking the Miracles. Scored Mitchell was our MC, and before you knew it, I've been out the Army 2 weeks. I'm on a national tour, so next thing I know, I'm a big star, rock and roll star now. I done changed over everything but evolution. I'm a rock and roll star now. I never knew screaming fans before. I've had it all, but I never had just pandemonium screaming fans. Yeah. Now I'm acting like just the guy next door that I have normally been. I just walk out in the middle of the crowd like it don't mean nothing. They grabbed me, they tore my clothes. Sam was saying, boy, I told you, don't go out there. I don't know what to do. They took my handkerchief out of my pocket, my uniform all mixed back. They got my hair all standing up like you wouldn't believe. Man, and they're trying to pull me back into the theater, went to Howard Theater in Washington, D.C. They're trying to pull me back in the theater. I'm not understanding this here because I've seen it, but I didn't believe it. Not the kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we did that for a while. Then next thing you know, Sam went one way, I did another way. I get married. I come home, I found my wife. She was a big star at a show called Harlem and Havana. And somehow I stole her from the show. We get married, have a baby. The man that owned the show, Mafia, want to kill me because I took his star. Okay. They got her pregnant and then married her and took her on off. Now he's upset because there was a drawing card for this big international show, right? Yeah. So I got up with Willie Mitchell, who found Al Green down the High Records. Willie Mitchell signed me, and I took my wife and my cousin called Gene Anderson International Hookup. We cut another record, became #1, called Mixed Emotions.
Sing that a little
Mixed
bit.
emotions, what can I do? Caught in the middle, in love with two. Tell me where lies the answer. I got a mixed emotions. Yeah. But anyway, record became #1. Now, my wife seems to somehow can't get show business separated from home business. She could never get off stage. She could never get off stage no matter what. I said, listen, baby, we're going to have to do something to the baby. We got to wash the clothes and so on. Oh, we can't do that. Wait a minute, this is our kid. This is our house. I got to go out and paint the front of the house. Oh, you shouldn't do that. We'll get someone to paint it. Wait a minute, this is my house. She could never get off stage. So somehow we just had a conflict of interest in that. And it didn't last too long. So somehow I end up with the kid. He's 42 years old now.
Wonderful.
So,
wonderful.
But I raised him from 5 years old, 6 years old until then. But she and I now is like brothers and sisters. I mean, like, I love her more now than I did, I guess, when we married. Because it's a different kind of love and our respect for each other. And the one thing was that she thought that what I wanted to do, my dream for us being as entertainers to that capacity was a temporary thing. But 40 years later, here I am.
Still going strong.
Still going strong.
Yeah, well, you had some great adventures, worked with some great people.
Oh,
you
yeah.
worked with Red Fox for a while?
Yeah, well, what happened with that was somewhere along the line, I started promoting records. I started with some guys, some Jewish guys, Harold Goldman and Skip Gorman in St. Louis. And because I had to give up the singing for a while because I got this kid now.
Yeah.
He's 8.
You can't travel.
He's 8.
Yeah.
So I stopped, moved from out of Memphis back to St. Louis and raised this kid. Because my grandmother, my mom, and them wasn't having it. So we started a company called Middle West Record Distributors. And with Middle West Record Distributors, a guy gave me a phone call that had heard about me. His name was Joe Robinson. He owned a company called All Platinum. And All Platinum had the Moments and a bunch of big groups on it. And there was a litigation with some type of contractual disagreements between he and the artist. So he created another record company, and he sent me a record. It was an acetate back in those days, and with pencil writing. And the record had on it, he said, Gene, we don't have no money, but we believe this is going to be one of the big records in the world. Could you help us and promote this record? I say, that's what I do. I said, yeah, I'll do it for you. He said, listen, I'm going to send it to you. He sent it to me, and the name of the record was The Rapper's Delight. It said a hip hop, a hippity hop.
Okay.
That was the record. I was the first guy ever to take that record and put it on the radio and take it to the clubs. That I didn't know was the beginning of rap music, hip hop music. The Rapper's Delight. I promoted that record, and then they came with another record called I'm Gonna Funk You Right On Up. That was some sequence. The next thing I know, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. Next thing I know, it was Cool Mo. The next thing I know, it was Curtis Blow. So we started the rap records because we were the only distributor that handled 12-inch because they didn't have no place to put them in the store. So I became nationally famous as the first promotion man that I could break a rap record, because every time they put it on the radio, the disc jockey say, well, this is the last one, we don't play no more of them. You know? And I said, hey man, well, I gotta feed this kid. This is all I got, so you got to play this record. I pushed him in the corner, he played the record. So one day they gave me a record called The Message. It's like a jungle sometimes. That make me wonder why I keep going under. By Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5. Joe bought me a car. I went to Chicago with this record. This whole the story is so intriguing to believe. So I go to a club called the Blue Orchid, I think it was. Big disco club. So, you know, Chicago is a very flamboyant town. And I take the record in there, and I talk to the guy, get the guy $20. I said, man, play this record for me. Him and the place was jam-packed. You know, Chicago's a gangster town. He plays the record, and soon he put the record on, the record just, everybody hit the dance floor like boom, the record just blew up. I said, okay, man, I gotta go. I gotta go. I said, give my record back. I just only got the one because I'll take the radio set. He said, you can't have the record back. I said, what you mean I can't have the record back? He pulled a pistol. God, true. He pulled a pistol on me and said, you can't have this record back. I told you, man, we're gonna keep this record. I said, well, man, you ain't got no baby boy. You don't problem with me about the record. Okay, cool. He turned his head. I sneaked the record up under my shirt, and I ran out the door with the record. I got in my car. This is true. I got in my car. Him and his brothers outside with their guns in hand, looking for me in front of the club, and I drove by, blow my horn, I say, hi, old Silver. Oh, wait. I drove off, put the record on the thing. Next thing I know, the record became a historical record, one of the biggest records of rap music all time. It's called The Message. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder why I keep from going under. That record there. Then next thing I knew, I met a guy named Sonny Liston, prize fighter. He, not too long, lost his title to Muhammad Ali, which was Cassius Clay then. I met him in St. Louis. I'm writing a book about it, matter of fact.
You should. You have some great stories to share.
It's the truth, though.
Yeah, that's why they're good.
Yeah, it was about Sonny and Red Fox and Sammy Davis Jr. and myself. So I wanted to meet Sammy. So somebody introduced me to Sonny, because Sammy at one time was managing Sonny Liston. And when he came to St. Louis, everybody was scared of him. He was like, oh man, he was huge. He was so mean looking. And he was in a little bitty room at a gym. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, son!" He say, "Oh, slow down, boy." Slow down, boy. He say, "Who brought him?" Talking about me. I wasn't scared of him, and he liked that. Because he was a very fearsome person, because he was known for having that thing called the stare. And prize fighters used to almost melt in the ring before they even rung the bell. So I wasn't scared. So I told him, I said, "Listen, man, I'm an entertainer, blah, blah, blah." They had already introduced me, told him about me. And I said, "I want to meet Sammy Davis Jr. one day. Can you hook it up?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "If you're that good, I might want to keep you myself." I said, "Okay." So we spied out him. George Foreman was his sparring partner. And Shipes was... Dick Shipes, I think his name was his sparring partner, who ended up George Foreman's manager when he came back and won the championship again later years. But they always working under Sunday and Dick Sadler, right? So we got into the limousine going to get to dinner after the training session, the day before the fight. And George Foreman, I'm in the car like this here, between these big old guys. I'm in the limousine like this here. I mean, like, I'm excited. I'm a kid, you know. I'm like, oh, yes, okay. He told George Foreman was popping gum. He said, George called. He said, "Listen, hey, you spit that gum out." George Foreman told him, say, "What you mean? It's my gum." He said, "I told you to spit that gum out." George Foreman said, "If you see the way I whooped that Russian, you wouldn't talk to me like that." Son said, "Yeah, but I ain't that Russian. Spit that gum out." George Foreman rolled him down and said,
Gene Poo Poo Man.
I got 10 minutes.
Okay.
Come on.
Come on.
I got 10 minutes. So they finally had a fight. I drove a car. I had a little Ragged Ford. I drove the car and there wasn't no parking spot. So I said, the car wasn't working nothing. He was smoking and everything else. So I said, heck with it. I parked the car on the sidewalk in front of the Kill Auditorium door, and nobody was at the door. So I walks up to the door. And next thing, nobody was there, taking the tickets because the fight was going on. It was the last fight. I walked all the way up to the ramp, and I come at the top. It's at the top of the door. It's at the top of the auditorium. Where they was fighting the people's out. It was just, and they was fighting like two robots. Boom, boom. It was about the 6 or 8 rounds or something like that. So nobody said nothing to me yet. I walks down a little further. I stepped over the gate. I walks down a little further. I stepped over another gate. And before you knew it, I done walked down to the ringside. Ain't nobody said nothing to me at all. I got a milk white suit on. Nobody said nothing to me. Sonny, I walks around the Sonny's corner. This is the God's truth. I walk around Sonny's corner. He's sweating like the guys sweating and nose bleeding. And it said, and I reached up to Sonny and I pulled Sonny's trunks. This is the truth. In the fight, I pulled Sonny's trunks, and he looked down at me and said, "Gee, man, what you doing here?" I said, "Sonny, you mean you gonna let him do it like that? I ought to come down and whoop your person." Myself. He bust out laughing. He went out the next round and beat that boy to the, they was hollering, "Run, boy, run!" Sonny beat him, so he win the fight. He calls me, he tells me to meet him at the Roosevelt Hotel. I go to Roosevelt, meet him. That's what I mean. He gives me his phone number, and he tells me to come to Las Vegas whenever I want to, and he'll introduce me to Sammy. That's how I got to Vegas.
And that's a good place for us to take a pause.
Okay.
We thank you so much for being on the show today, and you know you must come back because we've got to hear part 2. We've got to hear some of your current activities that you're involved in.
I'm here with you.
But this was so marvelous. I thank you very, very much.
I thank you, Angel. You are an angel.
Well, folks, that's it for this time. Join us next time for part 2 with Gene Poo Poo Man Anderson. See you then.